Hello world, and welcome to another stop on the Swift Components tour. Today's stop is Progress and Activity. This third section, called Advanced Interaction, you may notice that the items are not labeled with their UI control item or their UI kit class, and that is because of one of two reasons. Either that stop on the tour is utilizing more than one object from UI kit, such as Progress and Activity, or that stop on the tour is not using UI kit at all. Stay tuned and you'll find out. But anyways, back to Progress and Activity. Here we have what looks like a label, except it's blue, and in iOS 8 we know that is a UI button. It says Start. We have what looks like a halted spinner. It's not spinning. And then a gray line. Going by the name of this view controller, Progress and Activity, you could probably guess that we press the start button, the spinner will start spinning, and the progress bar will start progressing. And you guessed correctly. We press the start button, you can see the spinner is spinning, and the progress bar is slowly filling up the gray line with blue. When the progress bar fills all the way up and has reached the end of its progress, then the spinner will automatically stop, and the start button, which had changed to say continue, will go back to start. And what happens when we hit the start button again is it will start from the beginning, and the button changes to stop, and we can tap it when it says stop, and it will stop the spinner and the progress bar without resetting anything. Notice that the progress bar is still about halfway full. If we press continue, it will run for a little bit until we press stop, and stop again. If we press continue and let it finish, it will go back to saying start again. And when we press start, it'll just start over. Pretty simple. And a lot of the time when you will be using either of these views, you may be using them together, you may not. Usually, the UI activity indicator, which is the name of the class of the spinner, lets the user know that there is something that they have to wait on to use a part of the app. Now you can just display it in the corner, you can display it in the status bar, or you could create a larger one that goes over the middle of the screen to stop any user interaction until that process has finished. Just a way to communicate to the user that your app is doing something. The progress bar is fairly self-explanatory. The gray area of the bar is obviously the progress that you are trying to reach. The blue is what progress you have covered. And where they separate, where the blue ends, is your current percentage of the download, or whatever action that's taking long enough that you decided to use a progress bar for. And oftentimes, you will have a progress bar maybe hooked up to some report calls from a remote source, or maybe as you're downloading something, you're doing the math yourself in the app, saying, I have so many kilobytes of this so many kilobyte file, and updating the progress bar based on that percentage. So all that means is whenever a user sees either of these elements in an app, they're going to know what it means. So you can see over here on the storyboard, it looks exactly the same as what you see in the app, just the view controller size is smaller in the storyboard, but that goes for each of the views. And there's nothing special going on here, just a start button, normal UI activity indicator, and a UI progress view. If I customized them at all, it was not very much, other than just some auto layout constraints to set them in the center of the screen like this, and then adding references to their view controller. You can see here we have the start button, activity indicator, and the progress bar. I also have two other properties in this class. One is loading, which is a bool, and a timer, which is an NS timer. Here we have an IB action from the button, and when the button is tapped, we ask if self is not loading, which is that bool up here, then we will start spinning the activity indicator. We will start progress, which is another method I have below, which sets up the progress bar to go from 0 to 100%. And then we'll change the text on this stop button. If the button is tapped and we are loading, and the isLoading bool is true, then we will want to stop the spinner and stop the progress bar. These start and stop progress methods down here are what are handling the setup of the progress bar. Here in start progress, we see if the progress is full, then we want to set it to 0. And the progress is a value between 0 and 1. And then we will set isLoading to true and start an NS timer, which calls this increment progress bar method every 0.01 seconds. In this increment progress bar method, we will set the progress bar's current progress to add 1/1000th to its value. And remember, it's a value between 0 and 1. So from start to finish, the progress bar here will take 10 seconds to fill all the way up. And once it has filled up, and we're checking that by asking if the current progress is equal to 1, then we'll stop the spinner and we'll call this method stop progress. And in this method, we are invalidating the timer, which stops it from calling this increment progress bar method, setting isLoading to false, and then just setting the button text based on the current status of the progress bar. Again, because we can stop it early in this button tap method, say we stopped it at 50%, we're calling the stop progress button, and if the progress bar is not full, then we change the title to continue. And we're only resetting the progress bar back to 0 in the start progress method if the progress bar is already full. So that's just a bunch of logic for a quick display of the progress bar filling up in 10 seconds. If you're using it with a remote action or a download process or something, it's not going to always be 10 seconds. And the time it takes to fill the progress bar, or even the speed over that time, is going to differ based on the current action that you're monitoring. So you'll be implementing your own back and forth like this, but probably a little more complicated since you'll be dealing with other sources instead of this being a closed environment in just this class. Thanks for watching.